Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, sees a couple of things, rates them out of 5, stays at home, watches a couple of things, rates them out of 5s, and puts them up against each other and sees where money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am the host in a place called Bromsgrove in the middle of the United Kingdom. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon.
Hello.
And Shaun.
Hiya.
Hey guys. Right, hello. So yeah, this is going to be a kind of podcast that I don't think we've recorded, the type of which we haven't recorded for about 2 years. And that was, this is the one where I have little people in the background who I am trying to distract by throwing food at them so they don't really interrupt the podcast recording. But every now and then I might sort of lapse on my chip throwing ability, and you might hear a little baby in the background demand more food. So please bear with us. Besides that, how have your weeks been going?
Yeah. I've had a nice week. I've had a good week. My cousin's over, so I saw my cousin. He came round to watch the football yesterday. We've been robbed twice now.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, yeah. So he came round. We watched the football together, and we moaned and said, "Oh, again." So one where it was ruled out for VAR. VAR ruled it out, and every pundit, including Sharon, says it was a goal.
There was no way that was a penalty. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
And there was a FA Cup last night, and
they
scored a goal which was off the arm, and you can tell because when the player runs, he's looking behind him, thinking, "Oh, I've got away with it." And of course, there's no VAR in the League Cup, so
yeah.
Double whammy. But anyway, sorry. I know that's a way to.
No, I know that you had to get that off your chest before you can actually properly review what you've seen in the cinema this week. I understand, Shaun. I get it. So, and Sharon, how have you been?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Managed to get to the cinema more than usual.
I know. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, my friend decided she was going to get an unlimited card because and now she's like, "What can we go and see? What can we go and see?" So we've actually seen 3 films this week.
Okay, so you just heard that someone's demanding more chips because I've been slacking on my chip providing duty. So carry on, Sharon, sorry.
Yeah, so we have been, catching more films than probably my recent average has been.
All right, cool. So having said that, let's start with that. Can we let it cool down? Let's start with, what have you seen this week, Sharon? So tell us, what are the films that you've been catching up with?
I have seen Alien Romulus, and I have seen It Ends With Us, and Blink Twice.
Alien Romulus, It Ends With Us, Blink Twice. All right, cool. And Shaun, you in the cinema?
I have seen Alien Romulus and Blink Twice.
Ah. And then this is kind of like one of those things. What have you seen? 3. What have you seen? 2. What have you seen? I also been into the cinema, which if you've been listening over the last couple of weeks, you know that has been increasingly difficult due to the people who are demanding chips for me right now. And I went to the cinema and I was like, okay, let's see what films are out this week. Alien Romulus. Okay, number 1 is a bit of a horror, and number 2, Shaun will have that covered. So, so I decided to go for the one that I thought was the least likely for all of us to have watched, and it was Blink Twice. But
we've all seen it, hey, and I think Holly's seen it as well.
I like it when we've all seen it because we all get different takes on it. I think it's better.
Yeah, okay. I mean, don't know for sure, but I feel like Blink Twice is going to have. There's going to be strata of. there's going to be strata of responses to Blink Twice. I think it's going to be quite interesting. Hang on a second, Kemi, what? I love you too. Now, Daddy's recording. Could you please let Daddy remember what we said? You have to watch Blue and keep quiet. Okay, good. So. All right, cool. So, and what about at home? What have we seen at home?
Okay, well, at home, I saw on Amazon, it was a new one, a thing called Jackpot with Awkwafina.
Yes, and John Cena.
And on YouTube, I watched the history of Sing Sing about the prison. So I tend to go to YouTube quite a lot, actually. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
Okay.
So that history of Sing Sing prison. So. Yeah.
All right, Sharon.
I've only seen the end of the first season of Painting Birds with Jim and Nancy Muir. So I have not had anything off of Netflix or other things. I am halfway through it, Those About to Die on Amazon. You know
with Anthony
Gladiator.
Hopkins and
I,
like
I think
gladiators and
I
stuff.
watched two. I think I
Yeah,
watched two. I think I watched the
Reunion.
first two episodes, and then it's sort of gone out the window.
Yeah, that's why I've been watching it for over a week now, and I'm sort of struggling to do more than one at a time. Some of those things you tend to be like, oh, I'll watch 2 or 3, and then I'll get through it. And I'm watching one, and I'm sort of going like, oh, I suppose I better watch another one. So I'm working my way through that,
Yep,
and I'm
I
working
get-
my way through. Oh, I know you're not going to be that bothered by Tosin, but I did get to
The
see
Walking
Daryl
Dead, Dead
Dixon.
City. Okay.
And no, I'm still working through. I saw all of season 1 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, but I haven't watched. But Sean's already reviewed Dead City.
Yeah.
Have you? No, have you?
No, I don't think we have.
No, we haven't done Dead
I thought
City.
you
No.
managed to catch it on an illegal site.
No, and I think the one that we spoke about was the one with Rick and Michonne, the ones who
Yeah.
live or something.
Yeah, the ones who
Those
live.
who
Yeah,
live.
we've reviewed that one.
Yeah, but we haven't reviewed Dead City, which is the
No, I
Negan.
haven't seen all of Dead City yet. I've just seen Daryl Dixon.
Oh yeah, Negan and Maggie one. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. So we
Are
have,
they all on Sky now?
Yeah,
they're all on Sky.
They're
They're all
all
on
on
Sky
Sky
now
now.
TV. Yeah. So even I that doesn't watch anything Walking Dead related cannot avoid the fact that they are on Sky or Now TV now.
yeah.
So let's kick off with Blink Twice. Let's kick off with Blink Twice because seeing as we've all seen it, we'll go with the 3, the 2, and the 1 on the cinema side. We'll go down that way. So let us kick off with Blink Twice. Now, Sharon, give us a preview of Blink Twice. Tell us what this is all about?
This is all about two women, two roommates, who are waitressing at a very posh, swanky do, and present is a formerly disgraced sort of tech billionaire
Yep.
who has sort of decided to have a public renaissance in some ways of his reputation. He was been disgraced and he's been a bit humiliated, and he's found this island retreat and he's sort of come to terms with his past. And so he's now sort of having this sort of rejuvenation of his reputation, his character. He's apologized, he's moved on, and he's been doing some like charity things. These two women go to one of his charity events, and they during their break they sort of borrow some swanky attire and they go in, and much to their amazement they're invited back to his island retreat for this sort of recreational free holiday, as it were. And when they get to the island, everything's all laid on for them. They've got their own rooms, their clothes are provided, all their toiletries are provided. They don't have to bring anything but themselves.
As you would expect on the island of a billionaire.
Yeah, and it's a hedonistic experience where there are no limits. They have all the drink they want, all the drugs they want, any sort of indulgence they want, they can have.
Yeah.
But they have to give up their phones when they get there, and they basically just have to immerse themselves in the island experience. And as time goes on, they notice that things are not quite as they seem. The staff sort of say enigmatic things to her. One of them, she says, kept saying to a red rabbit, which she doesn't understand. And there's a thing about snakes on the island, whether that is symbolic or whether it's, sort of representative of other things.
Yeah.
There's sin in the garden, etc.
Yeah.
In the paradise, there's something lurking in paradise.
Yeah.
And then as the story progresses, you understand that the things are not quite as they seem.
Yeah.
And it's only when the cracks begin to appear in the illusion that you realise that behind the illusion lurks something rather unpleasant.
Yes, as you would have imagined, like a film like this, there has to be something unpleasant. And now the film is this film had another title when it first started making it, and it's a title that I think because hang on, Kevin, keep watching, leave me alone. So, and it's a title that I think is because Blink Twice is a title that I think is actually quite generic. It doesn't really tell you anything.
Don't mean anything.
Yeah, the title that I originally had was, let's say, it was called Something Island, and the thing that was called Something Island was a particular part of women's anatomy. It starts with a P, and I think that, and I actually think that when they changed the title,
I'm thinking,
yeah, and I think changing the title.
It's also another name for a cat.
Yes, exactly. And I actually thought that the original title was a lot more grabbing, but now I've watched the film, I'm like, I can see why they changed it, because I think that the original title sort of like removes all kinds of layers of stuff.
Yeah.
It removes all kinds of layers of stuff. And this is a film that I think is very, very good at atmosphere. Like the first bit of the film, where it's building up to what the hell's going on. I think that bit is very effective. I think the sound design is brilliant. They do all this sort of like ASMR stuff where there's all these heightened sounds where someone is rustling a packet, like, you know, but you can hear it right beside you, like it's in your ear and everything. And I thought that bit is really, really, really good. There was a little bit of, because this is directed by Zoe Kravitz, the actor Zoe Kravitz. It was written and directed by her. And I watched this and there was a bit of me thinking, this is somebody who got inspired by Get Out. So saw Get Out and thought, you know what? I think I can take this approach and I can apply it to another issue that is particularly close to me. And there is a lot of, I was watching it going, okay, I can see what's going on with Get Out. And sure enough, I think one of the sad things about films like this is that they build up this mystery and it's all great, and when they're having this mystery or what's going on, and eventually they have to tell you what the mystery is. But and I don't think it's a fault of the film, because I think the film does it very, very well. But when the mystery gets revealed, it kind of has to become a different film, and it has to become a different film because it's kind of you have to go, okay, what's going on here? Okay, all right, we've got to get this thing, and we've got to move the story, and we have to get it to a conclusion. And I think that the first bit of the film is really effective before you figure out what's going on. Then the bit after you figure out what's going on, I feel is not as strong. And then that bit, I was kind of like, okay, now that we figured out what's going on, let's end the film. And I feel like that bit goes on a little bit too long. And the final bit of the film, like the last shot of the film, I've been thinking about this and running it over my head because I saw this on Tuesday night, it's now a Thursday. I don't think works.
No, I did have issues with that myself, actually, to be fair. I've found that, I thought, that's a bit, you know, I thought, I mean, to me,
the final scene that mirrors the beginning of the film.
Exactly. Exactly.
That mirroring, yeah.
Yeah, that bit essentially, it gave me way too many questions. I was like, wait, what? But no, hang on a second. And I feel like going back to Get Out, because I think Get Out is a real sort of, what's the word? Like a real format or a real thing that this film follows. I know that they worried about the ending of Get Out for a while and how they were going to do it and what they were going to do, and I think they managed to get that just run about right to finish off the film and everything like that. But the ending, I feel like there was a film I remember called The Rich Man's Wife that stars Halle Berry, and it's called The Rich Man's Wife, and that's a film. It's a passable thriller, and right at the end they try and pull this thing where they try and do a final scene that I'm just kind of like, well, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. And it isn't as bad. It isn't as bad as, it isn't as bad as, this film isn't as bad as that one. Because I think that one was trying to go for a Usual Suspects kind of like, twist. Which every film at that time seemed to be doing. That doesn't work. But this isn't as bad as that. But in the end, the final scene, I was like, I don't think that works.
I think like what you were saying about the film with two halves, it reminded me of Parasite a little bit, of like two films in one.
Yeah.
With
I
the end stuff. So because Parasite did that, didn't it? But
it's almost like there's got to be a key change, hasn't it? It's like a certain song.
It does.
You get to that point in the song when you need a key change, and you've got to time that right.
That's it.
Otherwise, the rhythm of the film goes off.
Yeah. For me personally, I think that I found the lead up until that point, found really tedious. I was thinking, loads of people, you got a hedonistic island, you can do drink, you can do drugs, you can swim, you've got your clothes, you've got everything on, you've got all that. And I was finding myself thinking, come on, because there was a lot of that. I mean, I would say that, the whole middle film, like the whole, I don't know, it seemed like an hour to me of them just like, come on, we know something's up. We know something's up. We want to do it. Oh, let's smoke another joint. Let's take some heroin. Let's take drink. And I'm like, okay, so like 5 days of that. Come on, let's do something. So I did find that middle section a little bit tedious, to be fair.
Okay, so then after the key change, what do you think about after the key change?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but it was, again, it was like some of it was really good, like the one that had been on the show.
Oh yeah. Because we haven't said anything about the cast. We have Naomi Aki, we have Adriana Ahona, Alia Shawkat, Channing Tatum, Haley Joel Osment, Christian Slater, Gina Davis. There's so many good people in this film.
So I was a bit disappointed with that. Wow. I was a bit disappointed with that at the I was like, oh right, okay, that was rather, I don't know, for what she'd been, but when the film did change, for what she'd been, all of a sudden at the end, it was just all towards the end, it was just like, well, you've done all that, you've been really clever, and now you're being really dumb.
Yes. Yes, there is one bit where it does, film logic takes over right towards the end, and this,
it's like I can't, that really, it's like, oh, this is okay, and then things like that are just like, oh.
Yeah, and it feels a little bit to me like they came up with a really good concept. They had a really good atmosphere. They had a really, I feel a bit like they struggled on how to end it.
You could be right.
I feel like they struggled on how to end it because, as you were talking, there's a bit with Adriana Ahona's character towards the end where she there's a bit where her character kind of changes and she does something, you're like, what the heck is going on there? But I agree with you on that. I do. Well, I mean, having said that, I do like the film. I like what it's kind of doing. I mean, also it has Kyle MacLachlan in it, who is
he's getting on a bit, isn't he?
He is getting on a bit. But I have to tell you that I think Kyle MacLachlan, he plays he's made a particular kind of character his own, which is somebody who is like, where you have like this layer of darkness behind a very thin veneer of respectability. I don't think anybody does that as well as Kyle MacLachlan. Like the second he shows up, you're like, oh my god, it's the devil in a suit. It's the devil in a tuxedo.
Twin Peaks, damn fine coffee.
Yeah, and it's but I thought the performances were really good. I thought that everybody was on point. I thought it was quite cool. I think with the kind of people that she's cast in this film, I feel like there's some sort of meta commentary that I haven't. Yes, I know. That I haven't quite figured out, because you have like your 80s icons like Gina Davis. You have things like
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater.
Yeah, Christian Slater. Where did he pop from? And the guy who was in AI, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah.
Kid. You have like 80s actors. You have kid actors. No, you either have 80s actors, people who used to be kid actors, or people who are children of, like, because Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's son is in the film. He played, and I was kind of like, there's something that they're doing with the casting here, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But I quite liked it. I would give it just about a 4 out of 5 because I think I'll give it just about a 4 out of 5. I think it sets things up quite well. It's trying to say something about the world we live in. The fact that it starts off with a CEO that's been cancelled. Like I remember I was about to go to watch the film, and they're asking me, what film are you going to see? And I was like, about this guy who's a tech billionaire who gets cancelled. And someone went, ooh, that's topical. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of topical. It's good. So I'll just about give it a 4 out of 5. How about you guys?
Well, I can see what it was trying to do, as I say, and it did have elements, but I did find it a little bit tedious in the middle. So I know we got a low and a high, so this is going to be a low 3 for me. So I'll give this one a low 3. But yeah.
I think from a female perspective, obviously a lot of the film I think it's probably more pertinent to women watching it. I thought the way that you could tell that a woman had directed this film, because some of the scenes that in my screening they had like a trigger warning at the beginning. They're saying there's some things in this that you may find.
I got the trigger warning on my tickets.
Yeah, we got it straight up. And I thought, actually, because I went with obviously female friend from Rachel, and we were watching and we looked at each other when the trigger warning came up and said that, okay, we'll decide how bad it gets and then we'll go if it's out there. If it's too much. Because I didn't realise it was directed by a woman at that time. And afterwards I said to her, you could really tell that it had been directed by a woman, because some of those scenes, I think if a man had directed them, it would have been far more suggestive of the events that you were seeing.
It would have been. I think it would have been a bit more exploitative. It would have
absolutely.
Because there's bits of this film that made me think of I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah. So actually, because I looked at it and thought, there's no way that a man would direct it like that. You wouldn't get this
subtlety or nuance.
In some ways. Yeah, so I always thought, so I mean, that gave it a step up for me when I was watching it, because I was thinking this subject matter could go all kinds of wrong.
It could go sideways.
So I actually thought it was, yeah, something again. There's some internal logic, and I was thinking, I think some trigger warnings would have gone off earlier, but I'll allow that for the storytelling because of the use of the drugs. But I'm thinking I would have had more alarm bells ringing off much earlier than they did.
Yes.
But for all those flaws, I still would give it I think I would give it just a high 3, and just for me, it just comes under the 4. But I certainly would give it a high 3, and I think it's certainly worth watching, and I think it should lead to some interesting discussions.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. That's what I figured that there would be.
Can I just ask? Do you think, like, with the flower or whatever it was going, and with the snakes and all that, it was symbolism of like the Garden of Eden and the serpents and all that sort of stuff? Maybe.
Yeah, that innocence lost, or that whole
sort of
I think
it's not like everything can seem on the surface. Everything can seem lovely and super, but underneath there's something underlying.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest with you,
that imagery is certainly there.
I think that there probably is, and there's probably stuff in there that I don't get. Quite frankly, there's probably stuff in there.
And
that
again,
I don't
like female imagery, people use flowers for different symbolisms of different imagery for women.
Yeah. So, good one, Sharon. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. But anyway, yes. So, that's it.
Especially with the previous title would suggest more of that as well.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Like that. All right, cool. So, right. Now let's go on to Netflix and Friends, and let us talk about Past Lives. This is something that I saw on Netflix. And this is a film...
Tosin, didn't we do this? Didn't I review this one as a film? Because I saw this at the pictures. If it's the Korean one,
it is. Yeah,
it is the Korean one with the 2. Yeah. I think I gave this one a 4, but I don't know. I can't remember. I think I really liked it. But anyway, go for it.
Oh no, we never actually we never reviewed it.
Oh, didn't we review it?
Yeah, because it would have been at the beginning of the year. It was one of those times when we had it was one of these films it was in the Oscars conversation.
Right. Okay.
It was an Oscars conversation, but we never actually reviewed it.
Oh,
because
right. Okay.
That was part of the reason that I was watching it, because I remember everybody talking about it around the Oscars times, and me thinking, oh my god, we haven't reviewed this. I had it. It came up on Netflix because I couldn't find it in any cinemas. It came up on Netflix, and I thought, okay, I finally have to watch this thing now. And this is a film that kicks off, and the first thing you see in this film is you see 3 people in a bar. And the 3 people you see in the bar, 2 of them are of East Asian descent, so a man and a woman of East Asian descent, and you have a Caucasian man sitting beside them. And you just hear this voiceover of, it's like, there's somebody looking at the 3 of them, and one of them is going, and they're going, oh, who are these people? What do you think the story is? And one of the people's, you just hear these voices going, oh, I reckon that, they are a couple on holiday, and he's the interpreter or something like that. And they're just trying to figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden, the film rewinds back 24 years, and it takes you back to Seoul. It would have been in the 80s, so Seoul in Korea in the 80s. And you get to meet this girl who is called Na-young. And you meet her and her friend Hae-sung, and they are like inseparable at the school. They're like the 2, always number 1 and number 2 in the class and all that. And they're walking home from school, and Hae-sung is like, "What's wrong with you? Is it just because I beat you in class? You beat me all the time because, like, academically, it's like you beat me all the time. You never see me cry. Why are you crying because I beat you?" And he thinks that she's crying because he got a better mark than she did. But as it transpires, it turns out that her family is actually emigrating and leaving Korea to go to Canada, and that's what she's worried about. And there's this whole thing where her mom asks, is there anybody in school that you like? And she's like, yeah, Hae-sung, I think we're actually going to get married. And so her mom organizes a date pretty much with him, so that she has a good memory to leave Korea with. So she leaves Korea, and then the film jumps forward 12 years. She will jump forward 12 years. By now, Na-young, who has chosen the American name Nora because that happened to a lot of immigrant families, changing your names and coming up with a westernized name. She's now living in New York. She's now working as like a playwright or anything, and you find out that she gets in. Then you follow the 2 stories: him still back in Korea, her now in New York, and then they get connected back over Facebook, and they start having all these Skype conversations with each other and all that. And then the film jumps up forward another 12 years, and she doesn't know just for another 12 years to the bit where you see the three of them in the bar. And it turns out that what actually happens is that the Caucasian guy you saw in the bar with them is actually her husband. It's her husband, and the film is this. It is this. There's going to be a lot of arty-farty words when I'm talking about this. It's like a meditation. It's like a meditation on loss and this and of displacement, and when you leave one place and go to another place. And as somebody who left Nigeria at quite a young age to move to the UK, there were a lot of bits of this film that I was just really, really identifying with hard. Like, who you leave, when you leave them, have your lives become so different that you can't actually come them back together? Who are you? Do you have identity? Are you, well, like in her case, are you Korean? Are you now American? Is there something in there? Is there a bit of you that the Korean friends can't reach? Is there a bit of you that American friends can't reach? And I thought this film was brilliantly done. I mean, I actually think I made a note after this film. I think I made a note that said something like, I was just kind of like, oh my God, that is a beautiful film. That it's like an achingly beautiful film. And it just, the performances, I mean, Greta Lee plays Nora. You have, I can't remember anybody else's name in the film. But she plays Nora. I think the performances are spot on. I think the scenes between them when they're meeting up again after being apart from so long, like they haven't seen each other for 24 years, and they meet up in New York, and there's this whole bit where they go on a boat on the Circle Line, which I'm sure you've been on that boat before, the Circle Line boat, because I've been on it around the island of Manhattan, and I was kind of watching, going, "Oh my God, I know that boat!"
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, the scenes where they're going around like, and it's just like almost everything that they say, the way they talk to each other, the kind of things where they're trying to figure out what's going on, and there's this scene right at the end that's just them stood at the side of a road waiting for a taxi.
And Toes, I'll have to come in here. That was because you were thinking. To me, that made the film, because that is, and I'm saying this is nothing what thing, but that is basically what Asian ladies are like. They're pragmatic. They're like, yes, and. Yeah, no, this was class. I
thought this was a brilliant film. I thought it was a beautiful film. And I agree with everybody who was making noises about all the stuff that it should get. So
yes, brilliant.
Yeah, then it's like about all the things that it should have gotten and all the attention that it should have gotten at the Oscars, of which it got none. This film is beautiful. It's one of the best films I've seen in the last year, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I think I'd have to give this film a 5.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, I'd give it a super high 4, but I mean, at the time, I probably would have given it 5 because I remember loving it. I remember it was just so well made, and it's just super. To me, it's super realistic. Just exactly. I couldn't find anything dumb in it.
I agree with you. It's quite realistic, and there's a lot of bits where it sets up, because when you think about it, right, it sounds like the setup for a romantic comedy.
Yeah, and you think, don't you? Think, hello, what's gonna end?
It sounds like the setup to. Sorry, for those of you who listen for the first time, that Oscar music is telling us we've been talking about this film too long and we need to move on. But so I feel like it feels like a setup for a romantic comedy. It's like, woman has childhood friend, gets married. Ooh, who's she gonna choose? Childhood friend or husband? But it is so much better than that. It is. Yeah, so I would say get on Netflix, watch Past Lives, and thank yourself. It is a brilliant film. And now we go back to cinemas and stuff, and we're going to see Alien. We're going to talk about Alien Romulus. And Sharon, I mean, you've got nothing at home, so we'll let you decide. We'll let you explain everything that happens on cinema while I run off and go get something for small people.
Okay. Alien Romulus. It's the latest in the Alien franchise, and it is set closer in timeline to Aliens, the film, rather than some of the more recent adaptations. And at the beginning of the film, you find the wreckage of the Nostromo, which is Sigourney Weaver's original ship, and they recover what looks like the body of the xenomorph that she cast out into space, and it has been recovered. And then there's a scene switch until you go onto this nearby mining planet, where there's a group of people who are basically indebted to the mining company, and you have to sort of work your way out of almost like servitude. And so there's a group of young people who are in that situation where they're trying to work themselves free. And just when a young woman thinks she's got it, she's worked enough to pay off her debts, to pay off her living expenses, their food, everything that they start charging you for, and she's fulfilled her contract, they say, sorry, your contract's been ended. And so these young people are forced into this corner where they decide that the only way they can actually get away from this mining planet and find a new life for themselves is by taking their destiny into their own hands. And they take a ship and they take it out of orbit of the planet where they were living. And they, part of the ship has, I'm trying to get the sequence right, but anyway, part of the ship has been previously occupied, and they find this sort of wreckage, and where they encounter, they dock with this ship, don't they, trying to get me by the storyline. And on this ship, they can find it's deserted, but there's evidence of something nasty happened to the crew. And as they explore, they come across one of the, I'm trying to think, they didn't call them cyborgs, do they? What was the term they used to describe?
Synth.
A synthetic person.
Yeah.
Who,
you don't like the cornbread either.
That's it. They have a synthetic person there who, and they've got a synthetic person with them who is part of their group. And as they get on this boat, this ship, they discover that they're not alone. That there's this synthetic person from the previous crew, and that there are these what we know as being the xenomorphs and the face huggers.
Yeah.
And that then they encounter the face huggers, and chaos ensues, and it becomes an alien film.
Well, I think that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's kind of like alien film. They get set up, aliens.
I think that it's not the Nostromo. It's not the Australian ship. It is basically. I think what's happened is the ship they've captured the that was blown out of the ship. And,
okay.
And like it's not Ash.
Because I couldn't quite read the name. I wasn't sure if it was
the android isn't Ash because I think it's called Michael.
It's not Ash. Yeah, I knew it wasn't Ash. But in the beginning, when they find that xenomorph in space, don't you see a few words of what was the end of the
okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking. I thought the ship that they go into is called the Romulus.
Yes, it's the two
parts.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not this. Yeah.
That's the research vessel. But the very, very beginning, when they're very set up, when you first see it, when they first find the xenomorph floating in space there, I think you see glimpses of wreckage, space wreckage.
Right, okay.
And don't you see an OMO on the edge of one of the pieces of wreckage?
I didn't see that.
And I thought maybe that was part of the Nostromo.
Anyway, okay. Yeah, no, probably was then. Okay. I missed that, obviously.
All right, cool. But okay, so we've got the setup and everything like that. Then we
so
go to
so it links directly into those early films, and then it also links into some of the sort of Covenanty ones. But anyway, it links in, and so you have a larger young cast who are then exposed to the xenomorphs, the face huggers, and then the mature ones, then chest bursters and all that.
And then death ensues. Death ensues. So obviously, with this film, anything, I think I'm not the biggest sort of like connoisseur fan of the Alien movies or anything like that. I don't really know. I know that the first two are seen as classics, Alien and Aliens. They're seen as classic, and they're seen as like the untouchable things. And almost everything that has happened since has been like, oh my god, why?
What have you done?
Exactly. So I mean, as people who I think are a bit more up on the xenomorphs and like and everything like that, you know your face huggers from your chest bursters and all that kind of stuff. What I want to know is, what was your initial reaction? Was this an oh my god, why?
I must say I liked the first 2/3. I was like, yes, I like the tone of this. I like the color palette. I like the mood of it. I like that dripping ooze that you get from the grown up xenomorph. And the face huggers looking at that and everything. I liked it until you get to what I could only describe as the
key change.
The key change. Yeah, which for me, that's when it just fell off a cliff. Then I didn't like the last quarter the last third. I would say I just thought this is, to me, I didn't like it. But for that the first sort of the build up, it's when you have the whole who's next sort of element, and then you see the different emerging when they discover the things we know, because we've got that where the audience who actually has that more knowledge than the actual participants. Yeah. So that bit I liked, and the sort of exploring the Romulus, and those sort of elements, the nods to the original films. Wasn't entirely comfortable with.
No, that was
spoiler.
Sorry,
It's not him though.
cut that out. I wasn't entirely comfortable with the.
Yeah. I know, but I
I know why.
I don't know that there's even that in this film. Yeah.
Yes, you can cut that out. But I wasn't comfortable with that representation. I know that it was approved, but I was always looking for the joins. And I think, to me, when you get that thing, it takes you out of the film because you're looking for the joins.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to edit this. But all I'm gonna say, all I'll say is that
Can you not just blur me? Can you not just go
yeah,
when I speak that?
so okay, I'm gonna put this in. So what you're saying is that there's a character that is pre-existing in this who they bring back. They bring back through digital trickery.
It's not. They don't bring him back. It's a different one.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, Sean, yeah, we know. But it's
okay. There is a face. There is a face
representation
that they bring back.
Yeah, okay,
through
yeah,
digital
yeah.
trickery. Okay.
It's not the same. We know that.
No,
we get
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
same thing. Not the same character. Different name, different character. The face is the same because we know why the face is the same.
Yeah.
That made me uncomfortable, and I didn't like it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. And Shaun, what did you think?
I thought this was.
Why?
So this would be, out of the whole franchise, this would be my third favourite. So it would obviously be Aliens, and then this one, because this takes it right back to what Aliens is all about. And it had all the hallmarks of Aliens, and like Sharon said, it's got references to every single film, even the Prometheus and the others, Covenant. And so and also it was back with, there wasn't a lot of CGI in that. I agree with Sharon, and I understand exactly what she's saying about the android. Yeah, that was like that bit. I can see where she's coming from there, but that was a bit
It's a
animatronics. But as for the rest, it was proper alien-fied. You know, it was like how it should be. You had there's people running around. You had all the screaming, all the chasing, it was. I mean, I really, really liked this movie. But what I think it was, I was so disappointed with the other ones. I am slightly different, and I don't mind Alien Resurrection. I think that's quite good, but everybody seems to hate that one with Ron Perlman. But I don't think that's as bad as everybody says. That's probably. And I love the actress. I absolutely adore this actress. She is my
Kaylee Spaney,
because she was in the Bad Times at the El Royale.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
In that, and she's great. And she was in Civil War, so she's getting.
She was in Civil War. She was in Priscilla.
She's becoming one of my top ladies, shall we say? So she's becoming one of my top ladies. I thought there was some of the British guy I didn't think was, I don't know, he quite didn't convince me.
Is that David Johnson who plays her brother?
Yeah, probably. That's it.
Yeah,
And is that so
the black.
No. He was fine. There's like the one who doesn't like him. I can't remember his name. He's a British. You know the one I mean, Sharon? He's the British guy who's going to be. He's like, and he really, really hates her brother.
Yes, I know the one. Yes, because because of events. Evolving things before. Yes,
he was a little bit of a weak link, I think, and I can understand what you're saying at the end of the very end,
the
at
last
least.
third,
yeah. Well, not the last third. I would say the last 10 minutes probably. But so I can understand, and I totally understand what Sharon's saying. But I was enraptured by this film.
You were in the tank.
Yes,
you were in the tank by that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how many stars would you guys give it?
I'm going to give this one a really high 4.
I'd give it a 3.
3. Cool. 3 and a 4 for Alien Romulus. They're getting to the point though where you're going to need a spreadsheet just to keep track of all of the subtitles. It's like this one's Romulus, that one's Resurrection, because there's a TV series coming out as well called Alien Earth. So
I mean, I don't know if the Alien vs Predator ones count. Probably not.
I have never watched one of those. I don't. I cannot even be bothered.
I liked one of them.
I think
it was for Nyla Thumb. I think I like that one.
Right. I think with this though, if you're like invested in and you love it, you know, and you like the franchise, you know, it does help. I think it does help.
Yeah, because I know that there's a whole bunch of there's even a documentary out at the moment. And Shaun, I mean, I know you quite like aliens, and depending on how much you like aliens, you might want to track this down. It's called Aliens Expanded, and it's all about aliens, and they talk about aliens in forensic detail for 5 hours.
Wow.
This documentary is a 5.
well, I've actually got a terrific board game called Another Glorious Day in the Core, which we play.
It's all about aliens, isn't it?
Yeah, you got all the characters, and you have to go on missions. So you got like Hudson and Gorman, and you got more, and you can go on these different missions. It is absolutely brilliant, but not so brilliant when you get like 500 aliens coming at you. So cool.
All right, cool, good stuff. Now let us go to Amazon Prime and let's talk about Jackpot.
Jackpot.
Let's talk about Jackpot. Now, this is a film that I actually have on my list to watch. If for no other reason, because there's a guy who he owns a Twitter account, and he has an independent film magazine called Film Stories.
Right.
And called Film Stories. And I went along to a live event that he had in Birmingham, and he had a whole bunch of people who were involved in the local people in Birmingham who were involved in the film industry to come in and talk about it. And one of the people he had speaking was a guy called Robert Yescombe. And Robert Yescombe was a guy who hang on a second, sorry, coughing baby. Robert Yescombe is this guy who is local to Birmingham, and he wrote this film. And that was the first time I heard about this film, that they had a thing up on the screen, and he was like, yeah, I started up in Birmingham, but I actually wrote a film that's going to be starring John Cena and Awkwafina. And I was like, oh my God. And that's the first time I heard about this film. And so I have this on my list because I think the premise of this film sounds crazy, sounds mad, sounds fun. So Shaun, tell us about Jackpot.
Okay, yeah. So basically, yeah, you're right. It is. So you've got this aspiring actress. She wants to be an actress, and she loses all her clothes, and so she borrows a friend's clothes, and it just happens that they happen to be the lucky lottery ticket, and she's at this audition. I mean, this bit's in the trailers as well. She's at the audition, and it goes ping, and she's like, oh, well, when people win this lottery, if someone can kill the winner without guns, so they're not allowed to use guns, then they will win. They will win the.
So it's essentially like a sort of twisted version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Like
you enter into this lottery. It's like you enter. For what I understand, you enter into this lottery, and if you win the lottery, you get like $5 million or something like that. But the thing is,
I think this is like a ridiculous sum.
Yeah. But the twist on it is that if anybody else can kill you in a 24-hour period. They get the winnings, so they win the.
But they're not allowed to use guns. Not allowed to use guns.
Yeah, so that's so she wins. She wins, and immediately everybody tries to kill her.
Everybody tries to kill her, except for John Cena, who's like a protective, he's like a protective person that will try and keep her safe. And also, there's this company that keeps people safe, supposedly keeps people safe, but. So that's the premise. So everybody's trying. She comes out and she's like, "What's going on?" Because it's pretty inadvertently. But that's right, because they have to use their thumbprint, and that's why she gets. And I should hate this film. I should really. Everything in it is so daft and dumb, and over the top and slapstick. But it's had me in stitches. It had me in stitches because this building where she had the audition, there's like other rooms with things going on. So you got like a kung fu class. And then it's like all the kung fuers here, and then you've got like an aerobics class. So you've got and there's like these big massive fights, between just brawls, just huge brawls with everybody trying to fight everybody to get a piece of Awkwafina. And it's hilarious. I was in absolutely I was really surprised at this. I mean, it came up quite a lot. I was saying you should watch this, and but to me, it was like there was these old films called "It's a Mad World" and those magnificent men in them front, and it's just totally over the top ridiculous. But when the aerobic girls are fighting the karate dojo people, smashing through walls and all sort of stuff like that, and they're all trying to.
Blazing
So
saddle.
so as basically they're trying to kill her, someone comes along and stops the person, and this so you've got this
because they want the kill.
because they want the cash, yeah. So and you've got this all the way through, and then there's a few in jokes as well, and there's really really good chemistry between the two of them, and there's some cracking in jokes. I really like Awkwafina. I think she's I don't know. I've seen her in a couple of Crazy Rich Asians and some other stuff, but
yeah, I mean she's quite good, and I think that she's
Ocean's 8, wasn't she?
She was in Ocean's. Yes, she was. I think she was. Yeah. It's yeah, but I think she's quite good, and she's managed to avoid the trap of going into the thing where you just do the same thing in every film and the same shtick in every film, which gets a bit tired. Like for instance, I know that there's people like for instance Kumail Nanjiani, who I think does the same thing in every film, and I'm tired of it. But Awkwafina, she managed to find like a little bit of like a different shade to it. But although one thing I am tired of seeing from her is I do not want her to play any more talking animals. I'm done.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And she was also in one of the was it the Boys episodes? Was it Boys?
No, it was the Boys Diabolical, the animated
Diabolical.
thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Boys. Yeah, I didn't. That was the Boys
Diabolical. She wrote and directed and starred in one of the episodes, one of the ones that you like the least. If I remember correctly.
So I should have everything in this movie because it was dumb and daft and shoot it and fight them up and nonsense, pure nonsense. But it was just such good fun. It was just such good fun to watch this film. I was really, really pleasantly surprised. And it is just slapstick. It's like Jackie Chan and I mean, I'm not really a big fan of Jackie Chan, those sort of movies. But so yeah, great fun. A really, really good fun film. And I've really enjoyed this one. And I'm going to give this one a 4.
A 4. I'm really happy to hear that because it's when I heard the whole thing about the film, I was like, that's my kind of silly. Everything about this film says it's my kind of silly. And
it's always you got all the stereotypes, every stereotype you could possibly think of. It's
one of those things I always think like if they execute it properly, it could be a lot of fun, and if they don't execute it properly, it could be horrible. So okay, so let's go back to cinema now, and let's go to It Ends With Us. So we've gone to the thing in the cinema that only one of us has seen, and Sharon also bask in the glory of being this being one of the few weeks where somebody has seen more films at the cinema than Shaun.
I know. That's not very often.
It rarely ever happens. It like never happens. I'm putting it down to the hernia. Okay, so.
And football's back.
Yeah, football's back, hernia and all that. Okay, all right, so It Ends With Us. Sharon, tell us about this.
It Ends With Us is a film based on a best-selling book by Colleen Hoover of the same name. And I don't think I could describe it without it being slightly spoilery. So I think people who are going to watch the review will be able to understand what it's about. But anyway, I'll try to be a bit discreet. But basically, it's a woman, focused on a woman played by Blake Liveley. Her name is Lily Bloom, and she owns a flower shop in Boston. And she is trying to fulfill her dreams of, she's independent, she's going to afford enough, she's got a building, she's got a job she likes, and she's just out celebrating, and she meets this handsome surgeon who is romantic, who is funny, is charming, and she ends up in a relationship with this man. And she, as they sort of get together and they get married, and then the sort of cracks that begin to appear, and he is not who she originally thought he was going to be. And there is elements of their relationship where he's the sort of, I'm going to have to go into spoiler territory because you just can't avoid it, but of domestic violence.
Yes,
he is almost in denial, where she wants to believe him when he said, "Oh, it was an accident. When I hit you in the face, it was because I was there was this reason, and when something else happened, it was because of this reason. It was like, I didn't push you, you tripped, you didn't see it, you just tripped, and I'm really sorry, I've never hurt you. And then so she's willing to believe him, she wants to believe him. And then you realize why she's willing to believe him, because you see in flashback that she grew up in a home where her father was violent towards her mother. And she witnessed some of this violence, and she always said she's never going to be her mother. She isn't going to be person. And her mother, and when she confronts her mother about it, she said, why did you stay? She said, well, I loved him. I loved him, and I chose to forgive him, and I was scared to leave. I was scared to make that break. And so she gets to that point where she's saying, I never thought I'd turn into my mother in these circumstances. And there's an event in the storyline that makes her say, no, I love you, but I cannot be in this relationship. And so I have to make that decision, that this cycle of domestic violence that I have found myself in most of my life has to end, and it ends with us. So she wants to make that conscious break with her past, and that also means, looking at her relationship with her husband. Introduced into this, you get a backstory of basically her first love, and how that all ties in with the story of her youth and the story of her sort of relationship with her husband. So you have got these different strands of the story that goes through. But it's effectively a story of a woman who is looking at confronting her past and her present, and trying to look at the future in a different way.
Is it anything like Sleeping with the Enemy, that film from ages ago?
Ooh, the Julia Roberts movie from the 90s.
Julia Roberts and Patrick Bergen.
Yeah.
Only in as much there's a theme of domestic violence in it.
Yeah, but I feel like that one was because I feel like everything I've heard about this film, because Sleeping with the Enemy was very much sensationalist. It was very much sensationalist. I was very much like, ooh, look at this domestic violence. How is she going to fight back? And I felt
fight back. And he was almost like unrepentantly violent. He was controlling from the very beginning. And I think this is slightly more subtle in that you can make excuses for her husband. She makes excuses for him, and because they do it in such a way that they film it in such a way is that you think, did he really hit her, or was it? Could it have been an accident? Could she have misinterpreted it? Could we misinterpret it? And they introduce those elements of doubt, which sometimes are present in domestic and abusive relationships. And it's at the end that they clarify some of those issues. But with Sleeping with the Enemy, he was no question.
That's right. Yeah, he was nasty.
It was 90s. It was 90s. You needed a bad guy.
And I think in this one again, I think it's a film of its times and the book of its times, because they don't just say, okay, he does it because he's just a bad man, and they try to give a reason why he could be damaged and why damaged people react in certain ways, and how he is as much a victim of his past as she is, like almost like carrying the weight of her own past with him. So you can understand it doesn't excuse his behaviour, but in any way, but it gives it a framework. And so they're trying to give it a framework within their relationship and within his past as well. So it's a nuanced film. I thought there's lots to like about it. A few things I thought, there's a few things I'm not sure I wasn't uncomfortable with, but because there's sort of elements, some of the publicity for it portrays this as just like a romantic comedy, not a romantic comedy, but like a romantic film, romantic drama, as it were. And because they introduce someone she knew in her past, and they've almost set it up to be almost like a love triangle. And it's not that. It isn't that at all. And I think by almost like selling it as a love triangle, she's got this person from her past who could be her future, and you've got this violent husband who's she got to choose. And it's like it's not as.
There seem to be a lot of recurring themes this week. With films that require trigger warnings, films that might be about love triangle but not really, that kind of thing. But okay, so I'm actually, as much as I get annoyed by that Oscar music sound, it does actually help us stop getting carried away, because I was just kind of like, what? Oh, go! That's the time. But so how many stars would you give It Ends With Us?
But I think, even though I think there's some flawed elements to it, I still would probably give this a 4 for me.
Mm.
I liked it. There's a lot to like about it. Wasn't sensationalist. It wasn't simplistic in that the answers aren't easy. Some of the moving, sort of dealing with these things is not an easy topic, and I think they tried to do their best with it. So I would give it a 4.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
Been a heavy week, isn't it? This week.
Yeah.
It's been a heavy week, but I feel like a lot of these things. I think a lot of these films could be heavier.
Yeah.
They could be heavier than they were. Like I think they're dealt with a bit of a light touch.
Are any of us going to go and see The Crow?
Yes.
You are going to go, right?
Well, okay. So you might talk about that next week. I mean, I know Holly's already spoke. Holly said that she's already seen it. Holly said she's already seen it. So okay. So good Lord, I was about to call you. I was about to call you Ollie. You can tell I'm being distracted by small children. Shaun, and now we go to. You said you saw a documentary on YouTube about Sing Sing. What's it actually called?
It's called it's called Sing Sing. I've got it was find it on here for you because I did put it there. The history of Sing Sing. So
the history of Sing Sing.
History of Sing Sing prison. Yeah.
Is it like a feature length documentary? Or is it just one of these short things that somebody?
No. It's a documentary. It's about an hour, 15 minutes, something like that.
Cool.
And it's basically the whole history of where it's built. So it starts off. I mean, Sing Sing was a notorious prison, and it's but where originally the place is called Sing Sing because it was a place of natural beauty. What Native Americans was called where they built it, and it's on this hill. And it was when it was first built, the cells were absolutely tiny. They were tiny. They had 2 people but there was no sanitation. There was absolutely nothing, and it was like the most horriblest place to go. And everybody was shackled when they walked around, and they had this thing called the Sing Sing stoop, where they all had to walk around with their heads down, no matter where they were. They had to walk with their heads down. And then it was like the first place to get the electric chair. So, as this documentary goes on, it says about. I mean, there were some famous people there, but the ones that got electrocuted, there were people that I hadn't really heard of. So, but they said, this was like the 146th execution. This was and there's one picture which you find on YouTube where there was a woman was in the electric chair. It looks terrible. It looks, the pictures you see and all that must have been a horrible. Well, films like The Green Mile and all those sort of films, And he had a camera on his leg, and he's got this picture of the woman that was executed with like a big mask on her face. And
it's a very famous picture.
Yeah. But you've seen the picture of it, Sharon? See, I know
the picture. Yeah.
Before. You know the picture.
Yeah, I know the picture.
Yeah. So it's an actual scene of an execution. And then as it goes through the years, you get there was this prison reformer, which became the governor. He worked amongst us, and then he decided that he needed to, make the cells, give people productive things to do, so it was all about the reform. But it was still not a very nice place to go. And where the executions take place, it was this building, and it looks horrible, the building. So that's basically what it's about. It's just basically about how it started off, how it was built. They built it, the prisoners built it themselves to start with from rocks that were at this place, which is why they built it at Sing Sing, because there was a lot of natural rocks. And then how about it improved over the years. And but
can I give very random information about Sing Sing?
Yeah, you know stuff about Sing Sing.
I know. Well, randomly, I do a bit of citizen science.
Yeah.
And I'm involved in a citizen science project. And one of the projects I've worked on is digitising the inmate records of Sing Sing. So I have actually inputted the prison records of inmates from Sing Sing. You record names, dates of birth, addresses, where they lived, what their crimes were, their physical descriptions, and their terms of their imprisonment and all that stuff. Basically, you have their entire prison record, and we've been digitising it. So I have actually worked on the Sing Sing project.
That's brilliant, isn't that? That's you need to watch this then. It's on YouTube. So
I haven't done a lot because it is quite a detailed project. Because some of the projects you can do like one tap and you've done it. This is you've got to be you've got to read Victorian handwriting.
Is that where you saw the electrocution of the lady? Is that?
No, I haven't seen her record, but most of the inmates I've done mostly men who are like petty criminals.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, there's thousands of them. There's thousands. So you can join the project, and because they want to digitize like literally tens of thousands of these little hand printed cards or handwritten cards that you can do. So I have done some Sing Sing prisoners.
Right. For me, why Sing Sing was so, because like the old gangster films I used to watch, the old Jimmy Cagney and thing, they always always speak about going to Sing Sing, going to the chair. I think in Angels with Dirty Faces, that's Sing Sing prison where, you know.
I remember growing up in Nigeria and hearing about this place and always wondering, what it sounds lovely. You go in there and sing. What are they on about? It's like, and they were like, yeah, you're going to sing to Sing Sing. I was like, what the heck? And then I realized that it was their version of we had a prison in Nigeria called Kirikiri. So Kirikiri prison, and then it's like that Kirikiri, like a horrible place nobody ever wants to go. But for ages, I could not figure out what Sing Sing was, because they just say like everybody knew where it was without ever really giving any context to what Sing Sing is. Yeah,
it was notorious in its time, as I say, and that's so it's always had I don't know, and I suppose because it doesn't sound horrible, but it does sound horrible. Oh, you're going to Sing Sing. Oh, he's been to Sing Sing. He's got the Sing Sing scoop. You know what I mean? It's sort of got that. Imprinted from when I was young, Sing Sing. So it's a good documentary. I like this a lot. So I'm going to give this one it's been a good week, really. I'm going to give this one a 4.
Yeah, a 4. It has been a good week, and just in time, Shaun. Just in time. We can tell the orchestra to get lost. So it's like. So that is a 4 for the history of Sing Sing. So the only question left to ask is, who do you think has won this week? Has it been a Netflix week or a cinema week?
Well, it's been a close one, I think.
If
you think about it, I think the Netflix one probably just because I think.
We've had a 5, haven't we? And I think that 5 might just edge us into. And Netflix 5. And streaming as the winners, I think.
That's so.
Netflix came to play this week. Netflix this week, nothing that we saw at home was less than a 4. Nobody gave anything we saw at home less than a 4. Unfortunately, we had a couple of 3s on the cinema side of things, which means that yes, this week it has been Netflix. Netflix and Friends have won it. Stay at home. No, actually,
and deservedly as well, I think.
I think the things that we saw at home, and this is one of the problems, just because of the vast array of things that are at home. Most of the time, you're going to watch something that's good because you've heard about it. You've heard that people have gone to the cinema and watched it and it was good, and you maybe missed it. So you're going to do that a bit like me with Past Lives. But I mean, I think it's but I have to say, for cinema, the 3 it was a good week at cinema.
That's what I mean. It wasn't like we wasn't.
There were no duffers out there this week.
There were no duffers. They were just really interesting. Duffers. There were interesting films with wrinkles, and I think I would always take an interesting film with a wrinkle over
a dud.
Yeah, over a dud. Yeah. Give me an interesting film with a wrinkle I don't agree with. Over a dud any time.
So, but The Crow will be interesting. I might try and see The Crow as well.
I think The Crow is going to be horrible.
Everything I've seen and heard about
I think The Crow is going to be a car crash. I mean, I've seen the trailers and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't. The trailers didn't grab me.
The Crow doesn't look good. Well, okay, so just before we go, some news. In case you're listening to this, and if you're listening to this in the UK before the 31st of August, the 31st of August is Saturday. That is this Saturday. It will be 2 days from when this podcast is released. Is National Cinema Day, and most cinema chains are doing films from £4 a ticket. So if you go there, if you don't have a Cineworld Unlimited card or anything like that, or if you're like me, you haven't got like a bank account that gives you some free cinema tickets, this Saturday would be a good day to go to the cinema, and also take the family if you have a family, because films are starting from £4. So National Cinema Day this Saturday. Please go along to it. That is one bit of news, and so please do that. And then the other bit of news, which I've just seen as we were on here, is Shaun, are you ready to hold your head in your hands?
Boom.
We have a title for the new Jurassic World movie.
Okay.
So now, if you didn't know, they're making another Jurassic World movie. They have somehow convinced Scarlett Johansson, I'm guessing with a lot of money, to be in the film, and it's called. And this is the bit that probably scares me the most. The film is called Jurassic World Rebirth.
Uh-oh. Dear. So they're going to start the whole thing again, like the Batman thing, maybe.
Exactly. That's the bit that scares me the most. It's called Jurassic World Rebirth. I'm like, oh God. Haven't the dinosaurs suffered enough? Well, they had an asteroid destroy them. Just leave them alone.
That's it. I mean, it might be along the lines of like to appeal to like children from the audience, because I mean that last Jurassic one, when I was there, and I remember seeing a boy watching it with his parents, and he was like, so
Yeah.
it might be Rebirth. It might be, okay, let's give this to a whole younger audience, like they did with the Star Wars. They Disneyfied the Star Wars and that. But,
I don't know, man. I might not be bothered anymore. I might not be bothered anymore.
No.
But anyway, until next week, when I don't even have a clue what's in the cinema. I know I will not be watching Jurassic World Rebirth. We will find something in the cinema. We will watch it. I think you guys, maybe you're going to see The Crow. Holly hopefully will be back next week and will tell us all what she thought about The Crow and all that kind of stuff. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from my daughters, who you might be able to hear in the background. Thank you very much for joining us.